Being a girl in STEM is relatively similar to being a girl in sports. Seeing like your male opponents like getting more either media coverage, getting more access to things, getting more attention on them. And not to say that women's sports don't get any attention, but it's significantly less. And it's much harder to break into the field of STEM and being a professional athlete for a woman rather than it would be being a man, because one, you get paid less to being an athlete and being a scientist, and society kind of objectifies you more, and you see people who are really successful get undermined, especially women in the past who have made great scientific discoveries but haven't really gotten any publicity, or you don't learn about them in school or beyond, which is hard to think about. Although I haven't done much extracurriculars regarding science, of course the school athlete balance is a tough one to keep up with. But I enjoy both of them, so it doesn't really feel like it's taxing on me or it's taking up too much of my time. More, it's something I want to do. It takes a lot of effort, but in the end I enjoy doing it, so that's what makes it worth it. Not yet the performance on the field, but more like the things I do out of the field to keep myself in shape and good health, like nutrition's a big part. Thinking about how my food is prepared and what source my food is coming from is a big part. I like to eat relatively plant-based, so a big part of that is actually knowing like, oh, this is how foods grow and this is how a lot of foods are harvested, so that's what's going into my body. And I feel like I've thought about it before, and thinking about it right now, you see like how much science really affects your day-to-day life, especially as an athlete.
My name is Kirsten Tulchin-Francis. I'm a biomechanist and bioengineer in the Movement Science Lab at Scottish Rite Hospital. Growing up, I love sports and I love science, and I tore my ACL. When I tore my ACL, I had to wear a really big brace. It was really designed for big men football players, so I decided I was going to make a better brace. And that's really how I first got interested in doing engineering. I'd never heard of biomedical engineering before, but I let my history of being interested in sports and science merge into this field where I can now analyze how people move. And I really didn't have to choose between, do I want to do science and STEM or do I want to do sports? I can do both. Through our research and publications, we're able to share what we find about how kids respond to certain types of treatments with doctors and therapists all over the world. A recent research that we've done over the last few years has been looking at hip strength following a certain kind of surgery to fix a hip problem. Some patients have a condition where the ball of the femur doesn't fit properly in the socket. So the surgeons go in and reorient the socket, and they found that these patients were really weak in their hip after surgery. The surgeons actually found a way to do the surgery without cutting through those muscles that caused the weakness. And that was a direct result of the research we had done in the lab. So that now is used all over the world by surgeons to help treat these patients with this hip condition. What I love most about my work is working with the patients. As an engineer, you usually see us in the background. We're not with the families. We're at the computer, we're at the bench, we're in the lab. But I actually get to work with the patients every day and see how well they do after the treatments that they get. And to think that I had a part in that is really rewarding. One of the biggest challenges, I think, for me has been coming into my job fresh out of grad school and working my way up to now being the director of the lab. As a female, there's always that thought of, well, am I being seen as the director? Am I being seen as the leader of the lab? Luckily, I work at a really supportive institution that has supported me throughout my entire career. The biggest advice that I can give for developing a career in STEM is to just follow your passion. You need to make sure that you find something to do that you love, that makes you want to get up and go to work every day. If you don't enjoy what you do, you're not going to want to go. So Figure out what inspires you and what you're passionate about and follow that dream. You can be a jock and you can be a nerd. You can love sports, you can love science, you can merge them together. So if you support a girl in all of her passions, then she doesn't have to choose between them.